There is a cycle that comes with abuse. My mom did not tell me that story, the full story, until I was 31 years old. She didn't tell me that she was molested by her own father, my grandfather, who we saw once a year. She never let us around him. She didn't do all that, but I never knew why. And I always knew that my mother and my grandmother would fight. They would fight. And I never knew why. My mother was never the very affectionate type. We never kissed my mom. She never hugged us. But I loved her. I never understood, and I never knew what was behind my mom's story and what made her do the things that she did and made her become the person that she was. Until the cycle of that abuse came around and affected me. You see, my grandfather molested my sister as well. Because my mom had to put them into the same house when she went into the mental institution. She didn't know. And sometimes you just can't help things that happen like that. And as I grew up and as I idolized my older sister, I began to follow behind her, and she was acting out the abuse that she had suffered as a little girl. But she hadn't locked it away. She had gone around, and it made her very sexually active. That was how she knew how to feel good. And so she did things that were inappropriate. And as a little girl, as a little 7-year-old girl, a little 8-year-old girl, I witnessed those things. So what happened? Inadvertently then, I was abused. Because I saw things that I should have never seen at that age. So much keeps going in circles when abuse happens in a family. What happened to me when I was in high school, there was so much that made me so angry at God, especially specifically with my sister, because she was acting out all of these emotions that were going through her, but she would never tell my parents why. She would never tell them what had happened. But she was acting out. She got involved into drugs. She just went off a deep end. And my parents tried to get her help, but she wouldn't talk. And I couldn't understand why then my sister would run away from home. Or that she then got herself caught up in an abusive relationship where the guy blackened her eye and broke her arm and held a rifle up to her head. Why then that she ran off with a drug dealer and went to Florida. All these things, I'm like, what is going on with my sister? I wanted to save her, And it made me angry at God. Why is He not helping my family? And so I turned away from God. I was mad. I was angry. And when I turned away from God, what happened is that this love that we have from the moment that we're born, that God fills within us, when I chose to turn away from Him because of my anger and because of my misunderstanding, there was this hole. And I wanted to fill it. I wanted to fill it with that love that I knew of God. And so I then started seeking that love. I started seeking it through man. And I found a young man who was amazing. He was so full of life. And he loved me and he respected me. And he made me feel good. He filled a little bit of that hole. And then he died in a car accident. And when he died, then that made me even more angry. I thought, why would you do that? Why would you take away something that was so good for me? And I completely just severed all ties. And that need and that thirst and that hunger to feel love and to feel wanted, and to feel worthy of someone's attention. I needed affection. I ended up looking after and going for this young man that I had been friends with since the 6th grade. And, you know, in many ways I was saying, I would give you this if you'll just love me. I'll do this for you if you'll just love me. And one day when I thought that he was finally going to accept me as his girlfriend, you know, and give me everything that I was missing and fill that hole, and I went over there thinking, he's going to respect me. He's going to see my dignity. And instead, he raped me. And I was a virgin. And I walked away from that, then feeling that not only that I, you know, at one time made that decision to walk away from God, but at this point I felt like not only did I personally walk away from God, but now I don't know if I could ever get back to Him because this happened. And so then I was truly in a pit of just utter despair. And I allowed myself to just be used and abused in many ways. I didn't know my worth anymore. I did not hear God anymore. I did not feel Him. Even though He was with me always, He was never away from me. In fact, He was probably crying. I'm a visual person, right? And I can imagine God, Jesus with me, walking with me, just saying, open your heart to me. Know that I am here. Just a little bit, I'm here. But I was so blinded by the enemy, just by that evilness of wanting to say, I don't want you to know God's light. I don't want you to hear His voice. I don't want you to know His love. I almost picture, I'm like I said, I'm a visual person, right? And I can picture like this